Welcome to the Three Tomatoes Virtual Renewal Summit. This is our fourth summit, but the first virtual one. The event is co-hosted by Ann Akers and Cheryl Benton. You'll be inspired, informed, and motivated by our fabulous lineup of speakers and panelists. Here's to thriving in midlife and beyond. But first, a word from our sponsor. Welcome to the world of Pulse, a solution that's transforming intimate care. When Amy Buckalter experienced the menopausal symptoms of vaginal dryness and pain and discomfort during sexual intimacy, her gynecologist suggested she use a personal lubricant. Frustrated and dissatisfied with the experience, she felt compelled to develop a modern, effective, and elegant solution. The result is Pulse, a solution that is transforming the world of intimate care. Pulse's healthy and luxurious formulations are setting a superior benchmark. With premium quality and medical-grade ingredients, there are no harmful chemicals. You get a natural, silky feel that's never sticky or gummy. And it's unscented, so there are no irritating fragrances. Tested hypoallergenic, hydrating, and soothing. And Pulse Pods are recyclable. Top physicians around the country are recommending Pulse to their patients. And women everywhere are saying, "Where has this product been all my life?" Here's an exciting offer for Renewal Summit attendees. Get the Pulse solution for just $129. That's a $70 savings. Go to lovemypulse.com and use code RENEWAL. Get the comfort you deserve. Our next panel is Sexual Health and Wellness, moderated by Rachel Braun Scherl, a self-described VAGIPRENEUR and a pioneer in the business of women's sexual and reproductive health. The panelists are gynecologist Dr. Alyssa Dweck, Colette Courtion, founder of Joylux, and Amy Buckalter, founder of Pulse.
Welcome to the Three Tomatoes Virtual Summit. We're very excited about our panel, which is the business and delivery of female sexual wellness. I have three rock stars. I'm sure you'll see that as soon as they start talking. If you don't know them, you will, and you'll want to get to know them better. First, we have Dr. Alyssa Dweck, who's an award-winning gynecologist with a particular focus and expertise in female sexual health. Dr. Dweck is the author of many books. She's an advisor to companies, and she's one of the most talented doctors I know, full stop, and then certainly doctors who understand the practice of medicine and how that translates into a business environment. So thank you, Dr. Dweck, for being here. Amy Buckalter is the CEO and founder of Pulse, which is a company that Amy created that is a transformational approach to dealing with vaginal dryness, primarily, at least from its inception, brought on by menopause. Amy will share her personal story about how her experience became a journey and resulted in Pulse, which is really helping a lot of women enjoy their intimate lives a lot more and deal with the symptoms. So welcome, Amy, from Seattle. And last but not least, Colette Courtion, founder of Joylux. She comes from a marketing and branding background, and she's created a patented home use device that delivers clinically proven results to the tens of millions of menopausal women in the US, suffering from a variety of things, which she will also talk about. And Colette has a journey as well. What you will find about many of the people who are in and around the world of sexual health, there is something that drove them to it. From a business perspective, it usually is a personal experience or an experience of someone they know. And from a medical perspective, it just really seems to be a desire to help women and really look at them as full people, as opposed to, you're a menstruating woman, this is what you need. You're a woman who's trying to get pregnant, here's what you need. But looking at her over the course of her life. So let's just level set with some statistics. When we talk about the business and the treatment of sexual health, it's big business, literally and figuratively. In terms of some of the problems that sexual health is solving, 43% of women have sexual concerns and difficulties at some point in their life. That's 40% more than the men who have ED. erectile dysfunction. Big. A third of women never experience an orgasm. About 33% of women, and Colette, you can amplify this, at some point experience some form of incontinence. Close to 50% of the pregnancies every year in the US are unwanted or mistimed. And of the 30-odd states that require sex and HIV education, which they categorize differently, 17 require it to be factually accurate. 20 states require education on contraception, and close to 40 require it on abstinence. So the reason I bring up these numbers is to show there's huge opportunities to provide solutions, to give education, and to fill the void that is left for many, many reasons for people. And we hear this all the time in menopause, that they had no idea what was coming. So let's talk about menopause. Millions and millions and millions of women are in menopause at every moment in the day. This 3,600 people enter menopause in the US every hour. If you do the math, that winds up being close to 31 million a year. And estimates say that by 2030, the population of menopausal and postmenopausal women is expected to increase to 1.2 billion. So when we're talking to our Three Tomatoes group and with our esteemed panel, menopause is clearly a big issue. It's clearly something that you're both, as the entrepreneurs, are focused on, as is Dr. Dweck. And finally, when we talk about the positive benefits, and Dr. Dweck, I would love you to talk more about this, there are legitimately many health benefits for having an engaging and a satisfying sex life. So, you know, the one about you, it's for weight loss, you reduce calories. That one I take with a grain of salt, but it's good for cardiovascular. It's good for your skin. It's good for living longer and feeling better, and a host of other things. So on to the important conversation. Let's talk sexual health. So Dr. Dweck, you see hundreds of menopausal patients every month. You've been in practice for dozens of years, which is amazing since you're, you know, you must have been a child bride. Can you give us a brief overview on the symptoms of menopause, the information that you find that you continually be surprised, that you are continually surprised women don't know when they enter your office with some symptoms?
Sure. First, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here virtually. So I think it's important just to start with some generalized facts. The average age of menopause in the U.S. is 51 years old. But this is not a from one day to the next type of situation. So symptoms of perimenopause, the years leading up to menopause, can take 4 to 8 years. And women now thankfully are speaking about this, but symptoms might include really crazy and erratic bleeding habits, hot flashes, night sweats, difficulty sleeping, brain fog, in part due to that difficulty sleeping, irritability. But there are some other symptoms that go along with this that may not be quite as on the forefront of people's minds. Urinary habit changes, but more than that, vaginal dryness. And I bring this one up so separately because oftentimes there's a disconnect for women where they understand that hot flashes and night sweats or trouble sleeping is clearly menopausally related. This is what our mothers may have spoken to us about. But vaginal dryness comes a little later on in the scheme of things, and oftentimes there's a disconnect that this is related to the hormone changes of menopause. So I love to educate women about that field and let them know that there's an awful lot of hope of what we can do about dryness, painful intimacy, and those symptoms.
Thank you so much. And Colette and Amy will shed some light about that. So let's go right into vaginal dryness. Amy, you know that I love the story of how you had a moment and you created a business. So I would love you to share that, because it was your personal journey that gave birth to the business that is now helping women with vaginal dryness.
Well, thank you for including me in this panel of really accomplished women, entrepreneurs, doctors, the like. It's an important topic, and I couldn't have had a better credible expert come before me and just talk about vaginal dryness than Dr. Dweck, because unlike some of those patients that may have hot flashes or other symptoms, I did not. And all of a sudden the faucets turned off. And it was an oh my God moment. I mean, literally, I did not know what was happening until seeing my doctor, and this became my new normal. Now, if there's anything in my life that's ever had me feel my age, this was it. Something really couldn't control. And new normal meant, for the most part, number one physician recommended solution, non-hormonal, is personal lubricants. So started using personal lubricants, which, unlike many younger women today that are much more in touch, as a boomer, never thought about it until I started going through menopause. And boy, was I disappointed. It was an awkward, messy, and cold experience, one that was just extremely unpleasant. So I just couldn't believe that with personal lubricants being on the market for 100 years, that no one had created anything more modern, more satisfying. So to what Rachel was alluding to on the research, I decided we've got to change this up. We've got to modernize it. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one experiencing this. And of course, Rachel, you read all those statistics off, and there's millions and millions and millions of women. So I hired a PhD researcher to go out and talk to 300 to 400 women. I wanted to answer the question and validate that other women like myself found the whole personal lubricant experience completely archaic and awful. And that's exactly what I found.
And that's, I happen to love that story. Lots of women, and Colette will share her story in a minute as well, look around, find that they've had a personal experience, look for a product that responds or adequately meets that need that they have. And in female sexual health, if they don't find it, they create a product themselves and then say, wow, this isn't just me. This is millions or tens of millions, whatever area you're in, other women who could benefit from that. So I just always like to highlight that story because, you know, I could say, oh, that shampoo doesn't work. I'm not going to create a shampoo company. You know, Amy said these lubricants don't work. I think I'll build a solution that works better. And we're going to talk more about the experience that women have after learning from Dr. Dweck and using Amy's product, and also Colette. So Colette, last but not least, over to you. You had a personal journey as well. We started the conversation with a statistic about incontinence. Talk about your light bulb that went on, your equivalent of hiring a PhD and interviewing 300 women.
Thank you. I'm just thrilled to be here with you ladies talking about a subject that's so important to me personally and this group. I, much like Amy, it came from a personal experience. I was pregnant with my son, and I was sitting around with my girlfriends, and they shared with me what physically happens to women after childbirth. And I assumed they were talking about weight gain, but they said, Colette, be prepared to pee your pants every time you sneeze. And I was mortified. I had no idea what they were talking about. So I did my research and discovered that incontinence, which is the accidental leakage that happens when you sneeze or laugh or jump up and down, affects so many women. So Rachel, you said, 1 in 3. I believe from just talking to women now, it's much more. But I said, there's got to be something better. And that's when I took my years of experience working in the medical field on energy-based technologies that were all about tightening the tissue on your face for anti-aging purposes. And I said, why aren't we doing the same but with our vaginal tissue? And so long story short, after working with really, really brilliant people, OBGYNs, scientists, I started a company that uses energy, so in our case, red light energy, to help tone and tighten the vaginal tissue. And by doing so, we're helping strengthening the pelvic floor. We're helping provide benefits like less urinary incontinence and other benefits like vaginal dryness. But it took me, being a woman, experiencing this firsthand and saying there's got to be a better solution. And much like Amy, here we are, and are tackling the world of women's health and sexual health.
Well, there must be something in the water, because both Colette and Amy are on the Zoom call with us from Seattle. So you're creating a FemTech hub there. Thank you so much. And we've talked about this, but one of the really important things about having women lead these businesses is they don't just look at vaginal dryness or incontinence as a moment in time. They look at it as something that women experience, and there's huge lifestyle implications, like intimacy, like comfort during intimacy, like self-confidence. So what's really important, and this is also, Dr. Dweck, I know how you look at your patients, you're not looking at them in one moment of time. Amy's just not about, let's help vaginal dryness, but let's do all the other things that come along with having a better sexual experience. Or let's do all the things that improve my life by virtue of the fact that every time I laugh or sneeze, I don't have an accident. So in sexual health in general, there's never a dull moment. Someone up there turned the gears on high with COVID-19. There's a lot more discussion. It is certainly not business as usual. So many essential businesses are shut down. And Dr. Dweck, many specialties had shut down. And you shared with us that you never shut down. And I'd love to hear about that, how your colleagues got to that decision, and how you had to modify how you deliver treatment in this whole new world. We're both in the New York area, so there are a lot of restrictions as well.
Yeah, so we don't have an option of shutting down. People need medical care when they need medical care. And granted, for the first couple of weeks of this crisis, people were very frightened to come into the office for things that they might consider to be routine, but emergencies arise in gynecology and in all fields of medicine. So we really didn't have an option but to remain open. We made lots of modifications so that both we as healthcare providers, but also our patients would feel comfortable. So, whether it's PPE, which we were fortunate enough to be well supplied with when the time came necessary, and the social distancing practices that are out there for everything are being upheld in my office as well. I think that, telehealth is maybe one silver lining that has occurred as a result of this issue, where there's been telehealth, that's been going on for probably a couple of years, especially in the therapy world. But now more than ever, people are really embracing this platform, and I'm finding, especially for sexual health consultations and menopausal health consultations, telehealth is perfect because examinations often don't need to be done. So this is conversational. I still like to see my patients so I can get a vibe for what's really going on. And in fact, the telehealth platforms have allowed almost a different window into people's lives, because you would be shocked where people talk to me from, but that's another issue. But I think that...
I think that's another panel, right?
Yes, that's a very different panel. But I think that, this has been one good thing that has actually been an opportunity for us in the medical field. I'm going to also just let everybody participating know that it was frightening at first as a healthcare provider. And I'm not in an ICU, and hats off to all the people who are in ERs and ICUs. But still, when you're seeing 15 or 20 people a day and you're covered in protective equipment, it's still scary. And there's so much that was unknown, particularly at the beginning of this crisis, that, I went back to my medical school days where I thought I had every disease I studied. So I would come home every night and say, oh my God, I have it. And thankfully, that was my imagination running away with me at that time. But I think that's important to know, that everybody had their appropriate reactions to this.
So on the keeping more of the positive side, we've seen many reports that sales of certain products in sex toys are skyrocketing. There are many businesses in female health. There's lots of discussion in the public arena now about you yourself are your best and safest sexual partner. during this. So there's increased interest and conversation and time for people. Colette, I'm curious, since you stay very connected and have always been very connected to your customers, what effect is COVID having on your business, and how have you responded?
Well, it's been actually a very positive experience, and that's because, you know, a product like ours requires that you stick to a protocol and you use it for a period of time before you see the results. So we recommend 10 minutes every other day for a period of 6 weeks. And pre-COVID-19, we've often hear from women like, I don't have the time. This is important, but I just don't know how I'm going to fit this in. What we saw is women, because of COVID-19 and they were stuck at home, they were prioritizing their intimate health. They were saying, okay, it's now about me, self-care, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to do this. And so we saw a surge in sales and engagement with our client, whether they had purchased the product, 6 months ago or last week. We saw a surge in women saying, this is the time for me to invest in myself.
Again, another silver lining. Amy, I don't want to say that you were a mind reader, but the way you designed the Pulse system seems like it was tailor-made for COVID-19. Could you talk a little bit about how the Pulse system works and the kinds of responses you're getting during COVID-19?
It's, as Colette, our sales have taken just a bit of a rocket ship boost. Pulse is a delivery platform. So for anyone watching, if you think about your Keurig coffee machines or your Nespressos and you've got a little capsule, this is a Pulse, and these are our pods. What Pulse does is and our pods, by the way, this is the main event here, are filled with our own curated intimate lubricants, and we also have a beautiful natural massage oil as well. Pulse will warm up the product, touchless, hands-free dispensing that you can see happening right before your eyes, and it is completely hygienic. We have a patented system whereby no formula in a pod, once it's inserted into the Pulse, ever touches any part of the internal dispensing or warming mechanism. So it is comforting and warm, soothing, touchless, and hygienic, clean, mess-free. Not only that, it's got lighting and all sorts of other accoutrements, which build a whole
I would say certainly my doctor's office, my OB could use that, because there's nothing like the temperature, the sub-zero temperature of whatever of the jelly that they put on when you're having an internal exam.
We have several OBGYNs that have them in their practice and recommending it to their patients. And it's so elegant and warm and soothing. But to your point, Rachel, hygiene, touchless, and clean is what is on the minds of everyone today. And I think this is going to be our new normal moving forward. Mm-hmm. So customers are loving it.
So in talking about the new normal, I've heard lots of different expressions, going back to where we were before. There seems to be general consensus that the new normal is not going to look anything like what came before. For anyone to try to imagine when they'll be at a sporting event or a show or a party celebration, it's hard to imagine. But assuming that we're still adjusting, we've heard two general sets of reactions around sexual activity during COVID-19. So some, like the people that Colette was mentioning, they have more time, they're with their spouse or their partner more often, they have more time for themselves, whatever they were spending commuting, they now have time and they're becoming more engaged, more interested, and having sex or intimate experiences more frequently. On the other hand, we hear, oh my goodness, now I might not have a commute, but I'm working 28 hours in a 24-hour day. I'm now a homeschool teacher. I still have all my other roles. I'm running my team remotely. There's no room for any me. So I'm curious what you're seeing in terms of the patients who come into your office. You know, we've used the expression before, you're like a hairdresser, but even more intimate. And you start a conversation, you know, they'll tell you everything. So what are you hearing from your patients about where they are on this spectrum?
Yeah, first, I kind of wish I was a hairdresser. That's a whole other issue as well. So, you know, I'm seeing literally a dichotomy. I'm seeing women who are definitely interested in whether it's rekindling or continuing the ignition of their current relationship status with a partner and working on that and really addressing things like dryness and pain and inelasticity that may have been bothering them because they do have more time. I'm also seeing an extraordinary group of very anxious women who are just putting sex on the back burner because they're caring for sick family members or friends, or they themselves are not feeling well, or anxiety just has overtaken them and they are not concentrating on their intimate health right now. So I think it's a mixed bag. I will say, and kudos to even the Department of Health in New York, put out a big guideline in regard to sexual practice during COVID-19 and, you know, really spoke quite plainly and directly about solo sexual activity and masturbation and embracing that. And I'm seeing that in the medical literature as well, particularly the psychology literature, where, you know, this is something that we have to understand is very important to our mental health, our physical health, and we can't just be asexual beings forever. So we have to take the necessary precautions. So, you know, that's what I'm seeing.
So you started the theme that women's health is sexual health. Lots of people in the space are talking about it. We've talked about it a little bit before, that it's much bigger than the enjoyment of your intimate life. It is much bigger than dealing with the symptoms of incontinence. It's much bigger than dealing with vaginal dryness. For Colette and Amy, when you're dealing with consumers and going to the next iterations of your products, what are customers saying to you, or what are users saying to you about what the experience, I'll start with you, Amy, of what using your system does for them above and beyond just improving their vaginal dryness?
Right now is a time where so many are yearning for connection when we're not supposed to be touching. And Pulse is a bit of a comfort station in its own.
Like the macaroni and cheese, the lubricants.
It is. It's like
You
warm
can
milk
use
and
that in
cookies.
marketing. You don't even have to quote me.
I like that. But it is really enabling this comforting connection time, because not only is the warmth, and I will also defer to Dr. Dweck on warmth and soothing around vaginal dryness, but it's a comforting feeling. And to go back to your analogy, do you want cold creme brulee or warm out of the oven? And one's just more soothing. What we're also seeing through this is a real lift with not only women buying our products, but men for their relationships, wanting their partner to feel comforted, soothed, she's happy, feeling safe. Then the connection and the bond can continue.
Which lasts hopefully way outside that experience.
We hope this is life-changing for many people, and we've heard that either in reviews. A lot of times I pick up the phone and I'll call a customer just checking in, and how this has really changed their lives. Even just having Pulse sit on the nightstand is a reminder for them to get close, and that's great.
Colette, you had made a very big point when you had to transition your team from all being together to remote, that you wanted to make sure that you were always available for your customers. And it almost seems in this space, customers seems like too impersonal a word. It's not quite friends, but there's a much more intimate conversation than you have, certainly than I have, certainly in many of the categories that I shop outside of sexual health. So why was that so important? And what do you feel like you were able to help them with, or maybe they were able to help you with in the conversations?
Yeah, so for us, our product it's truly one of a kind, and we're asking women to do something that they've never done, which is put a device that shines very bright red lights into their vagina. And so what being at home and us being able to connect with them and use technology, and so we made sure all of our team was wired, and that whether you called us or emailed us, you would get a team member. It was really important that we continue having the dialogue. And what we're seeing is a lot more women are reaching out to us because, again, it goes back to they have the time. And they're making themselves a priority. So what we're hearing from women about how important taking care of themselves now is, because what we know and what we've known from the very beginning is when you are healthy down there, it helps with your overall confidence and well-being, and that then transcends to so many more aspects of your life, whether it makes you a better partner, makes you a better mother. Having that confidence and that just knowing that you are a healthier person it's really resonating with women, and that's what we're hearing from them as they call and speak to us.
We're an unusual group in the sense that all of us, either through medical training or being in business, are comfortable talking about sexual health and the body and intimacy of all kinds. What do you say to people who are very interested? They might not be in either group. They might not be in the totally anxious group or the group that says, I'm ready for business. What do you say to people, or how can you help them develop their own language around this area, sexual health, sexual confidence, the confidence that comes after that? Amy, I'm going to start with you on that one.
We all do share the language of being comfortable saying the word vagina, first of all. As we know, many people are not. I do think that we have moved. We've got many more miles to go, but we have moved tremendous amounts over the last several years in terms of opening up the conversation. For my product in particular, of being able to have the discussions with them about whether it's vaginal dryness or their relationships, I think part of it is our product. It looks elegant, it looks inviting, and it doesn't look medicinal or clinical. And it really blends into the decor of their home. Now, in terms of language, which is actually an element of the device itself, is there are 6 different ambient lights that you can choose to set your mood. And so we find that couples can create their own language. If the ambient light is on red, for some couples, it might mean, oh baby.
Or it could be red alert, someone's at the door, abandon the mission.
Or it could be, honey, I've got a headache, don't touch me. And it makes the conversation easier because they can have their own language, what they're in the mood for, or are they in the mood at all. And so I think trying to bring a sense of cleverness and welcoming into the world, non-clinical, has been very helpful for our product, bringing that into their household.
Okay, Dr. Dweck, you obviously are not doing an audiovisual show in your office, especially now that, as you told us, people are waiting in the car and then they get texted to call their, to come in. How have you've always taken this very seriously and think of this as an important part of your job is the education piece. How do you help patients? And I'm sure, I don't even know how to count how many patients you've seen every range of background, cultural discomfort, victims of trauma, everybody comes with their own history. How do you start them having the conversation around sexual health, especially in menopause, since so many of the people in this community are either in perimenopause, in menopause, or have experienced it already and are adjusting to their new normal?
Right. I'm lucky. I had a license to say words like vagina and clitoris and vaginal dryness a long time ago, before it was, kind of cool to be able to talk about this. I think the approach I take is just one of being quite direct. Number one, I normalize this conversation, because even if I'm hearing something for the first time from a patient, guaranteed it's not the first patient who's bringing up this issue, whatever that issue might be. So I normalize it. This is not a question of, oh my God, you're having dryness. This is, are you having dryness like so many of the other patients that I see every day? And let's see what we can do about it that will be comfortable for you. So I think that's direct conversation is really my approach. And I offer hope, because a lot of women come in and they are feeling pretty helpless about a situation that they may have even kept to themselves for 10 years. And I think it makes people comfortable to know that there's always hope. There's always something that we can recommend that'll be helpful. I would like to just take the opportunity to say that I am a huge fan of both of the products we're speaking about today, in addition to lots of other wonderful products that are out there. But there's just so much benefit to warmth in the vagina. We know that warmth brings about enhanced blood flow. So whether it's a warmed lubricant or a warmed and photomodulated device that's going to help, these things are beneficial, and I can speak freely about that from a medical standpoint. The other thing is sexual health and general health go hand in hand. I'm going to hit this home again because it's so important. Women who have regular sex, whether it's on their own or with a partner, have lower heart disease, cancer, depression. They have better immune function. Overall, just a better general sense of well-being and general health. So it's more than just sex. It's really for your health. So I think that's the key that I always try to hit home.
Yeah. You talked about hope, giving patients hope, and there's a feeling about creating a community of not being alone. Colette, how important is the community of people within the Joylux community, or even more broadly in the community of people suffering from incontinence? How important is it for people to know, you know what, that happened to me also in a big presentation, or that happened to me when I was at an important event, or, certainly you only talk about when it's happening in a place where it's awkward and creates some other challenges. What is the community aspect that you've tried to build, and how is it helping people?
Yeah, I would say great question, because one of the things that we are seeing an uptick in is the engagement on our website around our content. So our blogs, our articles, this past 2 months, we are seeing an unprecedented amount of people reading it. And one of the ones that we just launched last month was all about your vulva and your vagina and the body part down there, because shockingly, most women don't really even know what is called what and how it's labeled, and is my smell normal, and what is discharge, and what are these things related. And so we launched a page on our website that was all about the Vulva 101, and that is our second highest viewed page. And that's telling us that people out there in this community, whether it's the Joylux community, or they are seeking information. They want to know about their bodies, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And so they're looking for facts, and they want to know that look, my labia looks like that, and that's okay. And it may not look like, that, but that's okay. And so what we're doing is really taking this time to help educate women about their bodies, and help normalize it, that yes, your labia, because it may be, this shape, it's okay, it's normal. So we're finding that people are seeking information, and that's important. I also just want to add, there's a lot of community engagement happening online in closed Facebook groups. So I'm a part of several menopausal groups where the women go on and share in a closed setting, so it's private, but share what they're going through. And over the last, again, month, I've just seen an uptick in women engaging on these platforms because they want to connect with other women and know that they are not alone.
So, and I've seen this. I had started this series, which I think some of you know about, called Quotes from Quarantine, where I have had short conversations with people like all the experts on the phone about how they're responding as individuals, as leaders, as entrepreneurs to what's happening in COVID. And there's such a desire to share information and to share what people have learned. There's a real sort of generosity of spirit. And I think that's what you speak of in the groups and in providing hope and in talking about these products. You give people a comfortable space to talk about these topics. It's very easy to listen to four people speaking for, maybe it's not so easy to listen to four people speaking for an hour who are in this space and talk about this space. And it's just part and parcel of our day, but it is not that way for everybody. And, one of the things we hope that this panel does is give you the opportunity, if you're listening, to get educated about the things that you don't know about. Reach out to find information. And I know Dr. Dweck has strong feelings about, obviously not all the information is accurate, but at least have a point of where you can start that someone you trust has recommended to you as a source of good information. Amy, you had mentioned that you had seen this video the other day about hindsight being 2020, which is, I love the pun. What were some of the key messages that came out of that? And again, there are certain people who are in 2020 who haven't had enough experience to know what hindsight is. So, we're all experiencing coronavirus for the first time, but some of us have more perspective. Colette had talked about living through the dot-com boom and the 2008 bust, the boom and the bust, the 2008 recession. So what were the highlights of what can we learn about hindsight being 2020?
It's so interesting. This is a change. This COVID-19 stretches from those that have just been born to great grandparents. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime experience where we may have gone through various depressions, not the Great Depression, but depressions in the economy or other tragic occurrences. This video that was such an eye-opener, called The Great Realization. We have been moving so quickly, especially with technology, that I think so many of us have lost a bit of a sense of presence in our lives. It is filling 50 pounds into a 5-pound bag constantly, work-wise, family-wise, relationship-wise. And with everything racing ahead so quickly, and maybe in many ways, it's really been a deterioration of quality, that this is forcing us all to reset in a way to be more thoughtful, to be more present, to reach out, be more connected. The streets that are empty, or were more empty, but now they're picking up a little bit. Nature has just blossomed in a way where the birds are chirping louder. The squirrels are playing, the rabbits, the flowers look more robust. I think some of the lessons in this, as painful as it has been to see the death and the destruction on many levels, I believe that as we see this complete takedown, there will be a rebuild and a reset. It won't be the same, it'll be new. But I hope for all of us, we will take those moments of connection and thoughtfulness and caring and bring that with us into everything we do moving forward.
And keeping with that theme, Dr. Dweck, what have you learned, things that you'll keep moving forward, whether they're habits in your practice or ways that you learn to cope as a human being? What are some of the lessons that you will keep and make sure they're integrated into your life for the day when we are in a place different than this? And again, normal just has lost all its meaning, but in a world where we are not sheltered in place and that it is not required that everybody work from home, and we have more flexibility in our movements and our lives.
Right. Well, I think I'm just trying to maintain a huge sense of hope. I have such faith in the medical system. I don't want to say the medical system, in the medical minds and the scientists and the researchers that are working on this situation. And I have hope that it will be solved in some way, shape, or form. I love Amy's optimism, so I'm going to try to remain the glass half full gal that I am. You know, I'm just glad the sun is still rising every day and I can go running and do what I have to do.
And Colette, how about for you?
I was just going to mirror what Amy said about people are taking the time to connect more. And that's evident in both of our products doing well because they're both geared towards helping you live a better intimate life. And so that is encouraging to me because that says that people are putting a high value on those relationships, putting a high value on themselves and how they take care of themselves and the relationships that are important to them. And we're still seeing that. So we are very optimistic that the future will be one in which people prioritize relationships first and foremost. So in fact, I think it was yesterday, there was a big article that came out about some celebrities wrote some letter about let's have this new normal be about human connection and less about consumerism and you know, and taking care of the world. And so I'm optimistic, and I continue to hope that women prioritize their health.
And I would put in a vote for laughter as a great way to manage. I tend to use that for a lot of things.
Well, there have been some good memes going around the last month.
Well, I had seen 2 videos that just cracked me up. Amy Schumer did a whole riff on Mother's Day about sitting, talking to her son. Every moment was beautiful. And then they cut to her screaming her head off in delivery, like, what have you done to me? And I also happened to watch the Jerry Seinfeld 23 Hours to Kill on Netflix this past weekend. And he spends a lot of time talking about text, where you literally say to people, no, don't tell me. I know you're standing right here. Don't tell me, text it to me. So to the extent that we're using technology to stay together and connected with Zoom calls, there's also a lesson from my panel here about how to find some good in what is really a scary situation. Before we conclude, I would be remiss if I didn't give folks the opportunity to find out where they can learn more about you or about the products. So everybody's going to give a shout out for their own business. So Amy, where can people find you if they're interested in learning more about Pulse?
So Pulse can be found on our website, which is lovemypulse.com. We're also, our products are also being sold on Amazon. Everybody knows how to go to Amazon. But if you really want to understand about the product, all of our products, really see the descriptions, how they're used, fitting in your lifestyle, please go to lovemypulse.com, and you will find all the information you need. And if you need any other direct contact with the company, you can always reach me directly at amy@lovemypulse.com.
Terrific. Thank you, Colette.
So our product is called VFit and VFit Plus, and the umbrella name of our company is Joylux, and that's spelled Joylux. So please visit us at joylux.com. We are sold through over 400 physicians' offices throughout the United States. Many that are closed right now are doing telehealth. So if you do want to talk to a physician about our product, come to our website and we will direct you to one of our physicians that are offering the one-on-one consult over the phone, and then we'll ship you the product. But yes, come to joylux.com.
Thank you. And Dr. Dweck,
different
connection.
Yes,
and I'm sure everybody
wishes. I'm selling myself. There's no product here, but please find more information about me or any of my books on drdweck.com. And thank you. Thank you to all of you.
And if anyone's interested in discussing more about the business of sexual health and where to meet these extraordinary people who gravitate toward this community, I'm at Rachel Braun Scherl, or Orgasmic Leadership, which is the name of my book. I love to talk about this. You don't even have to want to have a business to talk to me about it, and you can reach out.
And she's the most knowledgeable woman about this, I will say. I love it.
That wasn't part of our practice, but thank you. So I want to give a thank you to Three Tomatoes for allowing such an important topic, and one that we all feel so passionate about, to be heard on the virtual summit. I encourage you to look for their information as well. They provide such a host of amazing information for women of a certain age. But what would be, I think the tagline is for women who aren't kids and know the difference. Maybe I got that right. Anyway, thank you so much to Dr. Dweck, Colette Courtion, and Amy Buckalter, as well as to Three Tomatoes, for allowing us to have a terrific conversation. Ladies, I appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, your sense of collaboration, and all the work that you're doing to help people. So stay well, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you in person sometime.